Wait, hold on. Let me finish.
No, let me finish.
Welcome to Let Me Finish, the weekly podcast where we discuss what the hell's going on in pop culture, current events, and everything else in between.
We are your hosts. I'm Janice.
I'm Stacy.
And I'm Jillian. Grab a glass of wine and let's get started.
Okay. Welcome back to Let Me Finish. This is episode 10, people.
Woohoo! Wait, that's a big deal.
Yes.
10? I thought it was...
Yeah, 9. You guys did 9 last week.
Oh my goodness. Time is flying by so fast.
I know. So that's why I'm like, thank God these ladies held me down last week because I'm Janice.
I'm Jillian.
I'm Stacy.
And I wasn't here last week because I was in New Orleans for my best friend's birthday. So we literally drove down for one night.
But you made the most of that night. So.
Literally, we did. And I had such a good time in New Orleans. But as far as how our weeks went, mine literally since that weekend, I haven't stopped going. Like we had a trip to South Carolina, all of us.
Yay.
Mm-hmm. We went to South Carolina to celebrate our cousin Dale, which is Stacy's brother. He actually just retired from the Army as a command sergeant major, so which is like one of the top ranks that you can go in the Army.
I never get it right.
Yeah, I know. I always have to kind of think about it, but
Yeah.
I know we're all so proud of him, and he literally made us all feel so special, even though it was his day. They gave us a tour, which was super cool, and we got dog tags.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was really cool with the tour, kind of seeing what he actually does. Because my cousin's in the military. He's been in since he was 18. He'd be like, what does he do? I'm like, he's explained to me it's like HR, but to actually go and see what he does, which is mostly the intake of all the new soldiers and helping them get set up with everything they need to do during basic training. And they implement different programs, and he was just kind of walking us through that whole process. The people under his command was walking us through that whole process. So it was really, really interesting to see what those soldiers go through.
Yep. So happy for him. 30 years. Cannot believe it.
Yeah, 30 years. He went in at 18.
Yep.
30 years. So we won't say his age, but we know his age. So.
He old.
But he's, obviously in phenomenal shape.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about that, Jillian, one of the things they were saying is in that South Carolina, that base takes in about 60% of the soldiers that come through basic training. Mm-hmm. So they're responsible for so many people. And basically he's over all of it, especially when it comes to like a human resource kind of thing. So think about having one company, but now this company is like literally a big chunk of the responsible for the country.
And another thing I thought was amazing too, not to cut you off, Janice, but so they had a whole little retirement ceremony where he basically passes it on to the person that's going to take over his role. And like I said, his role was a huge role. It's a big role, and the person that's taking over is a woman.
Hey,
and
woman of color too.
Yes, a woman of color, and I was so excited about that as well. And I was just so impressed to see all the women that were there, that are ranked so highly, and a lot of Black women.
And they actually talked about how the human resource area, what he's a part of, implemented a lot of different things for women's rights and women's place in the army and in the military.
Yeah. Giving them the opportunity to excel and
leadership roles.
Yeah, leadership roles. So I'm very excited to see that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was pretty much our weeks. We actually just flew back in last night. So, here we are podcasting on a Sunday. We didn't want to miss a beat. So we wanted to make sure we were still here with you guys. And since I missed last week, I wanted to make sure, of course, that we recorded this week because guess what? I have surpassed my record of 8 episodes per podcast I've had.
Yeah.
So proud of you, Janice.
Yeah. Finally. Okay, number 10. Yay.
Yay.
Okay, so we'll just get right in. Do we have any sip and spills this week?
I don't.
Well, I kind of do. I'm still in the mix of it. So, I don't know why I'm so late to this one, but the Murdaugh murders. So, they actually found him guilty. I think on Friday we were in South Carolina. I actually just kind of glimpsed it on social media.
Tell us more about that because I really don't know.
So they are a prominent family from South Carolina, coincidentally, and they're a family of judges in the little town. They basically run the town that they live in, and it's like for the past 100 years, the Murdaughs are like the judges in that town.
Yeah,
like
judges and prosecutors.
So they are the law. And over the years, there's been a series of things, and they've always kind of gotten away with it because they are the law.
Right.
Well, the son, who's a lawyer, he's like
one of the sons
fourth or fifth in line or whatever. He killed his wife and one of his sons. And it's like a whole thing. And no one thought they would find him guilty because they are the law. They actually found him guilty. And I think he got 2 double life sentences or whatever. And I'm actually watching a documentary right now on HBO Max. There's one on Netflix. Everyone says it's good, but the one on HBO Max is supposed to be more in depth and have more information. So that's what I'm watching now. But it's really cool.
Did his family try him or like his...
No,
or was it like a state thing?
So no, at the time, I believe he had his own law firm.
He did,
but I want to say he previously worked in the prosecutor's office, or his grandfather was a DA and all that stuff. So yeah, it wasn't anyone related to him that actually went through it. That would be a conflict of interest, that would never have happened. But I think what kind of kicked everything off was, correcting me if I'm wrong, I'm like I said, I'm doing this from memory, and it hasn't been recent since I've heard about this. But what happened was his son was with friends. They were drinking, and he was driving a boat and crashed the boat. And one of the friends actually ended up drowning and passing away. So they were kind of in the whole midst of, is the family going to be able to get justice and be able to put him in jail? Because really he was
the son,
one of the sons,
the younger son,
was driving the boat while intoxicated.
Drunk, recklessly.
He was recklessly drunk. And they actually had video of them when they were walking back, where you can tell they were inebriated even from the video.
Right.
And one of the friends like, no, I don't think you should. And I think the person who ended up passing away was like, she was hesitant to get on the boat because he was so inebriated. And he's like, no, he insisted I'm driving the boat. And so they were dealing with that situation. And I think all the spotlight being on that kind of brought a bigger spotlight. And supposedly the father,
so they can cover it up as much,
had been embezzling money. And they were kind of like, okay, that whole spotlight with everything going on with the son kind of brought the spotlight. Where they think that he was embezzling money from his law firm. And I think culmination of both of those things led him to kill
the son and the wife. And the son that he killed was the one that was in trouble for killing the girl on the boat crash.
Yeah.
But they were trying to cover that all up.
That's crazy that he would think that he could get away with that then. Like, he literally is in trouble right now. Now he's just missing and dead.
Who?
I don't think he really thought it through.
But he killed the son.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. His son was in trouble for all of that right now. Killing him would be the worst timing because then he's missing.
Yeah, I don't think that was his train of thought.
No.
Honestly, I think maybe what he initially, I think he was maybe thinking about killing himself as well.
Well, if you watch the documentary though, okay, so after the whole thing happened with his younger son and the boat crash, the father and the grandfather were trying to cover that whole thing up and get the son off, right?
You're trying to cover it up and then you kill him.
But after all that happened, that was 2019. He didn't kill the son and the wife until 2021. In the midst of the son supposed to be going to trial and all that kind of stuff. But after the wife and the son got killed, there's a 911 call that came in from him, Alec, saying that someone tried to shoot him in the head. So I'm like, did he try to shoot his own self? Like, what was that about?
I don't know. Like I said, this is...
Because I'm watching the documentary right now. So.
Yeah, I have to go back and... because I think I heard about this. It was before the murder, I think.
After.
Yes. No. When I just heard about this family, it was, I believe it was a 2020, every Friday they have roll crime, stuff that they do. And I believe there was a newspaper, an article that came up on Yahoo or something. But this was before the murder. They were talking about everything that happened with the boat and
with the son,
situation.
So before he killed his family. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
So, needless to say, this sounds like a topic that could be brought up later? Because it sounds like there's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot of moving
I'm interested to watch that documentary.
Yeah.
Just to, because that's so weird.
It's
okay.
a lot.
Well, I have a sip and spill. I actually have two, but we won't talk too long about either one because they're small. But we're Kourtney Kardashian, which I know Jillian doesn't like the Kardashians.
I like the Kardashians.
I just don't watch them.
And then I think you should even be like, for somebody they speak out. And I think one of the things they speak out against is body shaming. Even though people have their ideas about how they look and how they treat their bodies, one person out of them that I feel like really is very natural and she is who she is Kourtney Kardashian. And for years they've been, is she pregnant? Is she pregnant? Like literally the girl gained 6 pounds and there's stories and articles about her being pregnant. And at this point in time, I think that stop asking women if they're pregnant. Like, unless I say I'm pregnant, don't ask me. Because at the end of the day, you don't know if that person just gained a little weight or maybe that outfit looks a little weird on them. You don't know. Or, maybe they like the little pudge and they're embraced it. Mm-hmm. So she had a comment made basically that, hey, is she pregnant? And she actually spoke out about the fact that that's not necessarily weight gain this time, even though it kind of is, but it's from her IVF journey. So she's been doing IVF, which I think a lot of women tend to shy away talking about. With fertility issues. So with her, she spoke out and she's like, your body changes when you do IVF and nobody really talks about it. So that's the only reason why I'm addressing this yet again. This is an effect of the IVF. And are we still even asking women if they're pregnant? So I just think it's still shitty that we still make comments like about whether or not a woman's pregnant. Like, just let her come out. I'm pregnant.
Yeah, my rule of thumb is until you say, yes, I'm pregnant, or you make an announcement, or you walk in with that baby, I don't see nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
I never ask. I never. Like, I keep that to myself. I'll think it in my mind, but
I'm blind,
I will
bro.
never, ever say it out loud.
I think some of her fans are kind of excited for her because they want her to get pregnant, because she's with, Travis now.
Which you would think would be even more so.
And
why?
I think sometimes they're not thinking because it's hurtful. Like, I know you're coming from a good place thinking, oh my gosh, she's pregnant now, but it is hurtful because if you're not pregnant and it's hurtful and it's embarrassing.
It's like two different things. Like, now you're talking about my body, and on top of that, I'm trying to get pregnant and I'm not. Right. So then it's just like double-edged sword for sure. So yeah, I just thought that was, I always, one of the things about the Kardashians, again, no matter what anybody has to say, is I think that they always do talk up and speak up for, women in general. That's one of the reasons I like them, is the more matriarch style of their family. My other sip and spill was a TV show I watched called Vanderpump Rules. Well, a lot of controversy came out this week because one of the couples who have been together for like 10 years he cheated on her with one of their friends, and actually his like best friend's ex-fiance. And they were having a long-term affair, and it just came out.
Wow. How long?
It was like a couple months, apparently. They had been together for 10 years. The engagement with her and the ex-fiance probably was like a year and a half ago that it got broken off. And she's actually was dealing with it on this new season because she kissed another castmate's ex-husband. They just got divorced, like literally had just gotten divorced, and here you are filming kissing him. So she was just like, ew, I can't believe you did that. And now you're having an affair with the other one. Oh my God, just go outside the circle. So the only reason I brought it up is I just think it's really messed up that she would, as much as like he was in the relationship, I just don't understand, because I feel like now it's a pattern for her.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't watch Vanderpump Rules, so I don't really know these people, but that's not a really good honestly,
you're not a good
if
woman.
I have a friend like that I know can't keep their hands off someone else's man, you ain't gonna be around my man.
And that's the thing.
Absolutely
she had been in a relationship with the one guy for so long, and now it's the first time on the show she's been single. So I think that's why you're like, oh, you're that type of girl. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's why you didn't have a lot of girlfriends when we first met you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was messed up. And the girl who got cheated on, she's really taking it with grace. And she, of course, deleted her Instagram, but she's not trying to sit and cry. She's been out with her friends. Her friends come to support her. So that was my sip and spill.
Nice.
All right. Okay. So this week we're actually going to dive into something pretty controversial, and I know we all have very different viewpoints on it, but it's Zaya Wade, which is Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's daughter, her transition to female, and kind of the next steps that they're doing, because right now they just legally changed it from male to female legally, as well as changed her name legally. So we're going to come back, take a quick break, and then come back and talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, so we are back. And like I said, we are going to be talking about Zaya Wade and her changes. We're going to keep it watered down a little bit. We're going to let everybody talk because I know we all have I don't even know if it's strong opinions. Because I don't know. Well, I think some of us do have strong opinions, but we all just have it's just as you're talking about it, you're like, oh, well, I didn't really realize that side. And then it actually affects the way I felt about it yesterday. And I feel like it's like ongoing change in LGBTQT plus all of it. Like, I think it's just all of us are learning as we go, right?
Right.
This is not our typical social construct. 60 years ago, it was extremely taboo to say the things that, we're talking about today, right? It was not even a question of whether or not you can change your gender before. Now it's something that we allow. Now it's something that is going to be a part of our society moving forward, right?
Right.
So I think I'm going to start first because, Zaya Wade, again, is Dwayne Wade's daughter from a previous marriage, and Gabrielle Union is her stepmom. There are things I feel about the situation with her. I think that she should be who she is, right? No issue with that.
Agreed.
I think she's beautiful. I think she's very classy and very poised for such a young lady. Do I think that it's a little too public for her being so young? A little. Because now everybody has an opinion on her. Well, and she's a child.
Quickly, let's do a quick backstory because for everyone that may or may not know. Mm-hmm. So Zaya Wade, she's actually born a male. She's a little boy. And she's 15, but as far as I can remember now, thinking years back, she's kind of it's always been out there that she's identifies as a little girl. So
wasn't it recent though? Like, she always dressed like a little girl, but then she came out saying, I am a little girl. Maybe like 3-4 years ago.
I would say about
what happened was
3-4 years ago is when I noticed it. I would say
she had her own social media page.
Yeah.
And I think she was discovering who she was, and there's certain things as far as like painting her nails, wearing certain clothes and things like that. She didn't flat out say, hey, I'm transgender or identified as a woman, but people made comments.
She lived her life.
As a little girl.
Right. As a little girl. And of course, people are commenting, why are you letting her do that? Or at the time, she didn't go by Zaya Wade at the time, but they're like, people will make cruel comments under a child's social media page, commenting on her looks, as far as why would their parents allow her to dress like that? Mm-hmm. So I think based on what I've heard from Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, was when she broached the subject as far as this is how I'm feeling, they struggled with that. Mm-hmm. And they said that they had to get advice, get counseling to be able, how do I support my child, make them feel loved, wanted, and accept this is how she wants to live her true life. Because I think there is a little bit of mourning, because you thinking I'm raising a little boy and now you're transitioning into raising a little girl. I think there is a sense of loss there as well. You lose a son, but you gain a daughter. And so, yes, they said that they definitely struggled in the beginning, but they have come to a place of acceptance.
I'm glad that they spoke out about that, though. Like,
yeah, they're saying that it's understandable that when you first get that news, that you understandably will be scared, because unfortunately for especially Black trans women, it is a very dangerous thing for them because it can cost you your life. If you come across the wrong person, it can cost them their life.
Dallas actually had like a rampant issue with murderers of transgender women.
About a year or two ago.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think there's a sense of fear because it's not saying that trans women and trans men have not been a part of society forever. They have been. They've just been in the dark.
Exactly.
They've been in the closet. They have not been allowed to be able to be themselves in public. They have to do it in private and almost live a lie. To be able to be accepted by society. And I think we're starting to try and transition away from that because my thing is that I want people to live their truth, be happy, and be at peace with who they are and have no regrets.
So like what I was saying is I think it's like a catch-22 with the parents because as much as you know, of course they love their kid. Of course they want to accept them, but it doesn't mean that it's easy for them. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be an instant like, oh, I get it. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to handle this.
Right.
I'm a parent. I know, so I'm glad that they, showed that like, hey, you do maybe want to go seek some counseling dealing with a situation like that. Cause you do want to handle it properly because it isn't something that has been around a long time. Like you said, transgender people have been around forever. Like these thoughts didn't just pop into people's heads or feelings. They just were suppressing them or not talking about them. So with our society trying to be more inclusive and growing in that way, I think that people need to understand like everybody's not going to be like, yay, let me do this. I know exactly what to do. And it doesn't mean that you're not accepting. Just means that you need time to.
Yeah.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah,
sure.
So, for me, this is the thing. So now she's, so like I said, I've been noticing this. I've actually started seeing this Zaya situation since maybe 3 years now. When I first started paying attention to it, actually.
About time, me too.
So anyway, now it came out that they took action to legally, get her name changed and her gender changed to a woman.
To female.
Which she's actually not a woman. She's a little girl because she's underage.
Exactly.
And she's just 15. And I think for me, this is my opinion on the situation I'm coming from a standpoint as a parent, because I have 2 kids myself. Well, I don't have any issues at all with what she identifies as, or she feels like she should be a little girl. That's fine. And I have no issues with that. I think the issue that I have for me is that as a parent, your job is to protect your kids. I mean, this is a cold, cruel world out here, and she's still a kid.
She's still a child.
And as a parent, your job is to protect your kid and support your kid. Now, the fact that they went this route to legally, change her gender and her name, I felt like that is a decision that could have waited till she was 18 and she was able herself, because as a child, we know kids don't always know what they want. And that's why there's age guidelines around certain things when it comes to kids. And for me, I just felt like this could have actually waited a couple more years until she herself was able to say, yes, this is the decision.
Is for sure the path I'm on.
The path I want to go. And as an adult now, I can make this decision
convicted in my feelings
for myself. And this is a very unpopular opinion. I do not want you guys to come for me, so please don't. I feel like Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade kind of exploit, or Gabrielle Union.
That's why I said it was a double-edged sword.
The situation.
Because it's like a good thing, but then a bad thing. Because just like you're saying, parents should be protecting their kids, and is a public platform for such a sensitive subject for a kid the best route? I don't think so. But at the same time, do I think it will help other transgender children moving forward? Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
So it's catch-22. That's where I was trying to get to. I just was going in a very roundabout way, but I think it's a catch-22.
And the bio mom, because the bio mom is saying obviously they're doing this for clout, and they're just trying to exploit her daughter and all this kind of stuff. And I may agree a little bit, but like you said, it is helping other parents that are also dealing with the same thing to know how I should deal with my child or whatever, because my child could come tell me this too. So it does help that we're having these conversations, and as parents, you're learning what to do. But I also feel like your main job as a parent is to protect your child, and I don't want Zaya to look back 5 or 6 years from now when she's an adult and say,
yeah, she's 20, 21.
Why was this so public? I wish it had been a little bit more private. But whatever. It's like I said, I have no issue with it. I just felt like this decision to legally change her gender, earn her name, could have potentially waited till she was an adult and she could have made the decision herself.
Sure.
And I'm done. I'll move on to y'all. So
too. I mean, for me, like, I agree with Stacey in the sense, not the name. People change kids' names all the time. Yeah. People change their names
that's not a big deal.
That's not anything to me. But to me, changing the gender legally, I felt was premature. Not that it didn't happen, just premature. I don't see the reasoning behind why does she need, as a 15-year-old girl, to change her sex on paper? What paperwork is she filling out? When she goes to school, you can still put, right now, you don't have to legally change their name for them to be considered a transgender girl or male in school. So why are you changing it legally on paper?
What, her name?
No, the gender. Okay. Why? Like, what would be the reasoning? That's my thing. And I think Jillian will have things to say about it. But again, you don't have to have it legally changed on paper in schools for them to identify the way that they identify. So I'm struggling to figure out what would be the point other than that for a child.
Okay, so my opinion on that is I do not live day to day. Now, if as a parent, I probably would go the route that Stacey states and wait till they're 18 to make sure 100% this is the route my child wants to go. If I have a child, I may do it differently and maybe go the way that Gabrielle and Dwayne went. At the end of the day, when it comes to this is their child, this is somebody, and when it comes to the biological mom, her parenting rights were terminated anyways and given solely to Dwayne Wade. I don't know, but she has no legal say in how she's raised because that has been terminated. Why that was, I don't know, but anything that comes to medical or legal decision making when it comes to their daughter has been solely placed with Dwayne Wade.
Okay. Yes. I didn't know that.
Yes.
So she has no legal rights to do that. At the end of the day, this is somebody that they love and care about, live with 24/7, 365 days out of the year. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I don't think they're doing it for clout because I feel like they've gotten more controversy and backlash than they've gotten quote unquote clout.
To be clear, I'm not trying. I didn't say they were clout chasers. I just said it was a bit much.
Exploiting. I said exploiting.
I don't think they're exploiting either. Like I said, I specifically didn't say anything because I wanted to get this out. But I feel like they're doing what they feel is best as parents. Do you have to agree with it? No, you don't. Would you do that as a parent? Maybe not. Probably not. But they're going to do what's best for their child. I don't think anyone should dictate how they parent their child. Whether you agree with their decisions or not, I don't feel like they're harming their child. I think what they're doing is embracing what their child wants and trying to facilitate that as best as possible.
Just to be clear, I'm not trying to tell them how to raise their child.
Neither am I.
It was giving an opinion on whether or not I thought that this was the decision I would have made. Mm-hmm. That's the only place I can come from is where I would do. And that's what I was saying. I don't think that Dwayne and Gabrielle are... the word exploiting is not the word I would use. I would use more so... I would be a little bit more cautious because they are public figures. Because... like Stacey said, it is a cruel world. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's not just a little girl in your community. This is the world. You're a basketball star. So it's not just the U.S.
Yeah.
It's the world.
And I think because they do have a public platform.
Catch-22.
It is a catch-22 because I feel like if they don't speak out and say, this is my child, she has a right to live her life the way she wants to live in her truth, and don't make that public because I don't think that community has a lot of people advocating for them publicly. Mm-hmm. They are the perfect platform to be able to say, hey, you as a parent, and I know this has to be a scary journey for them, and for them to be able to take that journey, be public and be like, hey, I struggled. Hey, this is, I wasn't 100% understood this need for her to do this. but I'm going to support my child. And like I said, I know this has been a hard journey for them, but to see them, I feel like they've done it with grace and dignity. And quite frankly, some of the cruel things that have been said about her and them as parents, me personally, I would have popped off and maybe not as been dignified in response, but that what they're going to do is they've decided that this is our child. We're going to support her 100%, and they will take the slings and arrows and take that head on. And for that, I feel like they're good parents in taking that on, because not everybody would do that.
Yeah. I think for them, like I said earlier, it's something where I think them having the public platform is good, but at the same time, it's a cruel world. I go back to that. It's a cruel world. So and I'm glad that they are taking a stance on what they believe, or for their child and what they believe in, what they feel is right. I do feel like they're taking a strong stand and they're not shying away from the subject. So I commend them for that. I do.
Would you prefer if they just kept quiet and just never addressed it publicly?
That's not what I'm saying.
No, it's not. It's not the addressing it publicly. It's because it's so public. And again, it's because he's a basketball star. And he's one of the most famous basketball stars out there. So I'm just saying, if he was a reality star and it was just on a reality TV show, it wouldn't be as big. But would it have a nice platform for people to be heard? For sure. Again, and because look what happened when she was just on her social media living her life. People still came and made comments and were cruel and this. So I think there's a level of protection they should be giving Zaya in this whole journey.
I think they are. Because I think at the end of the day, because of those comments, they actually turned the comments off of her social media, so she wouldn't have to be subject to those comments. They had to go through and moderate and kind of turn off the comments on her social media. That way strangers could not.
So they should have been moderating her social media. But
yeah, they weren't, because people don't know how to act right. And people behind keyboards will feel like because they're anonymous, they can say whatever they want.
Keyboard
renegades.
Exactly. They will do, and they had to turn that off. So.
Well, I will say this, and I think for me, I think maybe why I'm not even gonna say struggling, because this is not my child. And again, this is just my personal opinion. That's their child, and I'm glad that they're supportive and all that kind of stuff. But I think for me, at the end of the day, as a parent, I just would not want my child to look back and ever say to me, gosh, mom, like, why didn't you protect me? Why didn't you do this?
But that could happen on any situation.
Any situation. Yeah. And sometimes as a parent, like, obviously you support your child, and I am happy that they have spoken up about it, because I mean, sometimes it's better to just speak up about something instead of having all these people having all these questions. So they did speak up about it, but I don't think that every single aspect or everything has to be always so public, right? Because you have to make a statement about everything that's happening. I'm just thinking, like, what if, like, that's why I would prefer if they had waited a little bit longer till she was 18, to where she can say yes, and I'm making this decision now because I am of age to where I can legally do this. Because at the end of the day, if there's any regrets or anything, I don't want her to ever look back and be like, have any type of resentment and say, I wish my parents had. That's the only thing I have to say about it.
But the only thing is that even if she waited to 18 and did it then, at the end of the day, could she have regrets?
Yes, but maybe. Don't you think that she can?
But I don't. Like I said, I don't know their relationship. I feel like they're doing the best they can. Like, this is any situation, any kind situation, of yes. People have different parenting styles, and even I, as an adult now, be like, "Ooh, mom, why'd you do it like that?" Or, "Ooh, dad, why'd you do it like that?" When you're a parent, until you've done it, you don't know how you're going to react in certain situations. Some situations you get it 100% right. I mean, Stacey, you have two girls. One's an adult. One's still is a teenager. Do you have any regrets in how you parented any of your children? And we went back and be like, man, I wish I had done that different.
Well, yes, obviously, because no parent is perfect. But
exactly.
There are certain things that my kids might want to do that they're not allowed to do till they're 18.
Right.
And I have said to them, I'll just give an example, and this is nothing, and I know this is not the same as having a whole sex change, right? Or gender change, sorry. But for a typical example, like, my daughter wanted like a belly button piercing or whatever, and I signed for it because she wasn't quite 16 yet. Okay, that's fine. She came to me about a tattoo. I simply said the age for a tattoo is 18. A tattoo is a permanent thing. I am not going to sign for you to get the tattoo because legally you're not of age. That is a permanent thing, and I want to make sure.
Even though you did it for one thing, so you're like, there are levels for me.
Because it's not permanent, right? So I simply said, listen, at 18, when you're legally able to do it yourself and make that decision yourself, I will support you. I will even go with you to go get the tattoo. I don't have an issue with you. It's the fact that this is a permanent thing. And I don't want you to look back and be like, Mom, why did you let me get this silly tattoo? You know what I mean? So, and that's just how I look at things. I don't have an issue with the tattoo at all. And when she was 18, she went. I supported her. I even helped her pick out what she should get. Yeah. And she got her own tattoo. She made her own legal decision to do it. I know it doesn't compare, but that's just kind of how I look at things sometimes.
Right. No, I know. I totally understand. I think we're all, and I think almost even before this whole name change and going through and legally doing this, a lot of comments that I saw was, why would they allow her? Even without that, as far as that's identifying and dressing, they have been labeled bad parents because they're even allowing her to be able to identify as a woman and dressing accordingly and presenting herself to society that way. They're not good parents. Those are number one thing is I see people because Little Bootsies has made his comments and has made disparaging remarks. I said, you as a man has no place questioning anyone's parenting skills because this is the same man that paid a prostitute to sleep with his underage child, admitting to paying someone to sexually assault his child. How dare you?
That's what I'm saying.
How dare you, Jillian, you gotta question their parenting skills after what you admitted you did as a child,
look at
as
it,
a father.
Those people making those comments, it's their own personal issues that they have issue with. Okay. I don't have any issue with you allowing her to do any. Mine is simply legal. We have legal constraints on certain decisions, and that is simply, hey, do we feel like we should be letting children make these changes as children? Other than that is people's own personal issues with, to me, transgender, gay, straight, sexuality. That's your own personal issue with it. That has nothing to do with what is happening as far as the legal changes that are being made for Zaya. That had nothing to do with them.
Yeah. He's made several posts. It's like ripping them.
A lot of people he's made posts about, not just her.
But he clearly has an issue with transgender people, and probably in general.
But it just came out that his daughter,
that on
exactly.
His daughter just came out and made it Instagram official that she has a girlfriend. So I think a lot of the reason why he used to go off on Little Nas X too. He's made quite a few.
Hey, and Little Nas X is another one that I feel like was a renegade for this whole. Yes. Just being open about who you are and not being. Don't shy away from it.
I love him though.
I do too. I love him. I think don't shy away from it. Live your most authentic life. Yes. And I think at the end of the day, though we do all have different opinions on this, all of us have the same goal, which is a more, as we just saw Dale, and I'll quote Dale to say, a more harmonious time.
Yes.
I want everybody to feel accepted. And I know during this time it's confusing for me. So I find myself to be a very inclusive person.
And it's still learning.
Exactly. I'm still learning. I know for myself, there are parts of it that are confusing to me. There are. I will always say I will never understand it fully because I'm not in that mindset.
Right.
I've always been who I am, which is a straight cisgender female. That's it. So I can only try to be empathetic. Well, not sympathetic to whatever journey you have if you weren't born the way you feel like you were born. I think all of us are the same. We want inclusivity. Yes. We want harmony. We want everyone to feel loved and cared for
and accepted for who they are. Yeah.
Right.
I think that's what anybody wants. And my thing is that I'm going to live my authentic life. So I encourage you and people, and this is just a quick story. This is more LGBT as far as somebody being gay, where there was a lady I worked with, and I I had inklings that she might have been a lesbian, but I never asked her. I never got into it. That was none of my business. If she felt comfortable coming to me and telling me that would have been fine. Mm-hmm. And eventually she did get comfortable, and she was actually married and had kids from a previous relationship, but was actually married to a woman. And one time she did say, hey, you know, by the way, I'm gay. And she started talking about her wife. And she goes, thank you so much, because you never shied away. You didn't change. Your behavior didn't change. She goes, why would it change? Exactly. She was just the sweetest person ever. She always treated me right. So I reciprocated. And she goes, not everybody treated me the same way. People's attitudes towards me changed once they discovered I was a lesbian. And I said, I told her, I said, I'm so sorry for that, but
that's crazy that we're still there.
Yeah. Right. And so I said, oh no, hun, I would never treat you different, because at the end of the day, I want you to be happy. I want you to live your authentic life. So for her, even her, she was older than me. She was still kind of having to go through that. So like I said, I always want people to live their authentic life, whatever that is, and be comfortable.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, Stacey, you have any closing thoughts or anything?
No, I think for me, listen, I am very inclusive of everyone. And I think some of the issue for me, maybe I get too hung up on the different labels that they put on people.
Yeah,
and
it's confusing.
Like, don't worry about that. Just be your true, authentic self, whatever that may be.
Right. And honestly, don't even give a, fuck about what the government says you are or what this person says you are. That person should be you, baby.
Be you, yeah.
All right. So, but we are going to go ahead and wrap up, a little bit more of an in-depth conversation this week. So I enjoyed it. So, but we're going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of our Sundays. Hopefully get some rest, because I'm tired.
Me too.
And yeah, we're out of here. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you for listening today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the platform you're listening on, and leave us a review.
We want to support local businesses, so if you'd like us to shout out your business, or if you have a topic suggestion, or even questions for our QA section, we want to hear from you. So reach out to us at letmefinish@gmail.com.
You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Let Me Finish. Don't forget that the E in me is the number 3. You can find me at New Jillian Who Dis on Instagram. Stacey, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Mrs. Cams01. I'm also on TikTok, Mrs. Cams01, MRSKAMS01.
And Janice, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Uniquely Janice, and Facebook and TikTok, I'm just Janice Housen.
Okay. See you next week.
See you next week.
See you guys then.